has a habit of being like, "Oh, I'll be there at 10 a.m."
Every handyman,
and then like
handyman
3
like
a.m.
that.
4 weeks later, he shows up.
Every goddamn handyman is like that.
Yeah.
There is not one. I have never dealt with a contractor, a handyman, a plumber, anything like that, where they gave me an accurate schedule.
Ever.
Like, when they're repairing something, it's like,
Thank
especially
you.
with like contractors and handymen, they just show up when they show up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like I missed New York
you
Comic
can't
Con
miss those motherfuckers.
No, you see that
because if you do, then they're gone for another 6 weeks. Like, I got the kids in the living room waiting. I was like, you do not go to fucking sleep. You do not leave this fucking living room. You stay right here, because if he shows up while I'm vlogging and I don't answer that damn door, it'll be 8 weeks before the ceiling will already be caved in by the time he gets here.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I missed New York Comic Con because of a handyman. He told me he was going to show up. He never showed up.
Fucking,
you know, and it's like, okay, whatever. We were doing some we were doing some like cement work out in the front, like patching up cracks and stuff, you know, getting like kind of winterizing everything.
Right.
And he said that he was going to finish it on that Thursday, and he never showed up. And the thing is, though, it's like, I couldn't even be mad, because that's what they all do.
I could be mad. I could be mad. I don't have to be rational.
Why was I expecting something, anything different?
Because it's us and it's our money. Good morning, nerds. It is November 6th, 2023.
Oh my God.
The Ragin to the vlogs. Whatever.
Really? We're almost a week into November already?
It really happened that way, Lage.
It really happened that way, didn't it? Like I said, this year is like 11 months. That's it.
You ready to get this party started while the Dr. Cotton's drunk?
Yeah, I know. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But you know what? Hit it.
Where is it? We have too much shit over here. Let's clean house.
That's true. Yeah.
Good morning, Daphne. I'm okay. I'm like, the pain pills are great. The coffee is pretty good. Like, the swelling's going down.
Right.
Like, for the most part, the worst thing is there's like this throbbing pain that's left back here at the hinge of my jaw.
Right.
But the worst part is all the stitches across the bottom on the inside and on the outside really are bugging the fuck out of me.
Right. For those of you who are just joining us in today's episode, in our last episode, Nita had dental surgery.
Yeah.
In our last episode before that, Nita had a stroke.
No, that episode before that.
Yeah, she had a really intense several weeks.
It's been amazing, man. I'm appreciating life now.
I could imagine. I would hope so. I would it's like,
let me tell you though, something good has happened from this, because you know how I'm always like, I don't give a fuck about them. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. Well, the fact of the matter is the more I was saying I didn't give a fuck, it really was bugging me, and I was giving a fuck about people.
Right. Well, true.
Having a fucking stroke, and it will make you really leave your fucks at the hospital.
Yeah.
Like, I left with 0 fucks, and it's like, it's beautiful, and I don't even give a shit. Like,
freedom.
There's been some shit go down in this little fucking industry community, whatever the fuck you want to call it, and I'm just like ha ha over here. It's no more, I'm in danger. No, fuck that shit. I ain't in danger of nothing. Ha ha.
Yeah.
Like, it's all over the place right now. But anyway,
the idea though is to kind of like, I don't know, have a greater appreciation of what we're doing before something like that happens. But I guess some of us needs the direct push.
I needed the push.
Right. Right. And then it's like, yeah, and then and then it's like you were doing like a really quick recovery after that, and then you decided to do dental surgery.
Well, here's the deal. Okay, so
Mhm.
the dental surgery, I had an impacted wisdom tooth that's been
Yeah.
bothering me even before the fucking stroke.
Right.
But when I had the stroke, because of other symptoms that were still lingering after, they wanted to check me out for heart issues. And apparently, our teeth directly affect
Yeah.
our heart. So, our dental health is like essential to take care of that shit
Right.
as soon as there's an issue arise.
No, it's true.
And
Yeah.
like, you know what? Fuck it. My deductible is up. I got until January to get as much fucking done as I can. And having bruxism, which is basically a part of my Asperger's and ADHD, I grind my teeth, and so like I need resin fillings like to prevent like damage to my
Right.
actual enamel or whatever.
Right.
Even though my teeth are like pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I mean you were afraid that they were going to pull out all your teeth, and the
Yeah,
dentist
I'm
like going, no,
that's a problem because they're all sensitive and shit, and it's like,
Right.
no, they're really not. He said
Right.
they're actually really good because I
Right.
am good about sleeping with the mouthpiece in. But here lately, I've gotten to where it annoys me when I sleep and I yank it out and throw it across the room.
Oh well,
It's
all covered in cat hair.
complicated. But it turns out it was like I didn't need all my teeth pulled. I don't need to be nobody's granny just yet. Like
Right. Oh,
I
there you go. That's
a
good.
coat to protect me from
Right.
myself, and that's what I'm doing.
Right. Oh, that's good. That's good.
And it's only
Yeah.
like $10, $15 a tooth, so it's
Oh,
not really that bad.
Oh,
Except the wisdom tooth. That
No,
motherfucker right there. Thank goodness for this fucking insurance, because this tooth was gonna be $1,800 fucking dollars
yeah.
for one tooth.
Mm-hmm.
Because they had to do the bone saw on the inside here. That's great.
Oh my goodness. You're making everybody in the audience cringe right now.
That's okay. They'll be back.
Oh my goodness. So welcome everybody to another episode of the Ragin to the Vlogs show. Who's joining us in the chat today?
So far we've got Efrain, Max, Joseph,
Hello.
William Russell, and Chris Walker. Good morning, guys.
Good morning. And yes, I see you, my beautiful eyeball people watching us from regions beyond. If you are watching us from Facebook, if you're watching us from Twitter, come on over to YouTube. Join the sexy people in the chat. And if you're from LinkedIn, we don't know what to do with you. So.
Yeah, we're just like, hey, LinkedIn.
Yeah, it's like, hey, Facebook kind of has a tendency
come over here before we're banned.
That's true. And Twitter doesn't even allow us to see your comments. So if you want to have be part of whatever ridiculous discussion we're having right now, YouTube is the best place to do it. So make sure you like, share, subscribe.
Notification comics, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And hit that notification bell so that you get notified whenever any of our shows go live. Oh my goodness. So before Efrain rings the bell, let's introductions all around. Hello, everyone. My name is Daphne Lage, and I'm a cartoonist, illustrator, and comic book artist from New York. I have been self-publishing comics since in 1992, and you know what that means.
You don't understand. I ain't scared of you motherfuckers.
And I am known for the furry fantasy adventure Tall Tales, which returns to Kickstarter in 2024 with the new story arc, Tears of the Mother, which I just started putting together the Kickstarter for. I figure it's like, I've already fixed all of the previous files, and I figure it's like, you know what? Might as well get everything started, as early as possible. And I am also known for my medieval fantasy drama, Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, which also returns to Kickstarter in 2024 with issue 8 of this 15-issue series. Here we are, just over the hump of this series. So issue 8 coming to Kickstarter early 2024. So make sure that you head on over to my website and hit sign up for my newsletter so you don't miss out on anything. And in the meantime, speaking about my website, you can read both my comics online at Tall Tales, that's TAILS online.com, and egoworks.com, EGOWORKS. And you can check out all my videos on how I make my comics here on YouTube at my channel at Daphne Lage, LAGE Art, which also simulcasts through the Indie Comics Network. And to tell you more about it, here is Nita the Worst.
My name is Nita Lanning, and I run the Indie Comics Network on YouTube, which is a collaboration of a bunch of small press publishing companies and individual artists that bring you daily content centered on the indie comics industry, where we take our responsibility for our own actions and failures and don't point fingers and blame everyone around us.
We try. You know, it's like,
and we're today, petty bitches.
So yes, if you want to learn more about indie comics, at least from our perspective, you know, remember everything. Oh, it's like everything that we say and do here is from. I know. Is from, you know, our like I said, our perspective, our direct just how we do things. And what we do is we blab about how it worked for us, how it didn't work for us, and maybe it might work for you, or maybe it won't work for you. Failure all around. You know, it's it's just one of those things. That's just what this industry is. You know, so yeah, so head on over to Indie. Oh my God, I forgot our network.
IndieComicsNetwork.com.
.com.
Oh my goodness, I'm a little too giddy for it this morning, but you know what? It's because I started getting in a couple of things for my campaign. I've been in a back and forth with. Yeah, congratulations, really is in order. For those of you who have supported the Oswald Chronicles, the last Oswald Chronicles campaign, your books are finally going out. I just went to the post office this morning, dropped off the first batch. The last batch is going out tomorrow. I don't know. I always feel like it's bad luck to send everything out to the post office at the same time. I don't know. I always need to break it up. So we finally, yes, we did get the books from our printer. And that campaign, we're going to be able to finally put a little cap on that campaign as well. And speaking of campaigns, yes, so Jose will be launching the next Oswald Chronicles campaign probably next week. So I probably should have gotten the link for that, but we'll make sure to put it in the show notes somewhere so you can so you guys can follow can follow along. And speaking of campaigns, for those of you who supported Medieval Unicorn Viking Slut, or the Unicorn King's Daughter, depending on whether you were getting blocked on social media or not, depending on which title you were using.
Well.
Well, hey, but look, it was fun while it lasted.
It was blast.
I started getting in all the rewards for the campaign. So they're coming in a little bit faster than I expected. So here is the bookmark, double-sided bookmark that everybody's going to be getting. So yes, you too can have my beautiful idiot son in your house. And also here's the sticker. That also, this came in really fast. Usually sticker app takes a couple of weeks, but they got me this sticker in within 3 days. I was floored. So so if you're looking for somebody that's not Sticker Mule, sticker app is an option. Here's the sticker as well that goes with the bookmark. That's kind of all that came in so far. I'm still waiting for the prints, and of course, I still do have a couple of these keychains, these prototype keychains that I made that I was going to, I guess, do a bulk order if we had gotten to 10,000. Alas, we did not. But some lucky people will be getting this keychain.
And I'm going to completely randomly get one. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
Completely random.
Absolutely. Completely random. Nita's going to randomly get one of these keychains. So at least, I'm pretty happy that these are coming in, and it's like, I just really enjoy looking at them. The prints are supposed to be coming in soon. I did, it's like I sent the files to my printer. For those of you who have been following that saga, it's like our printer is kind of like still a little wonky. He's taking a little bit longer than usual to start, to do things, but he did download my files for the Unicorn King's Daughter order, and I'm going to see if I can get like an actual schedule out of him. Because I figure if he had no intention on printing my books, he wouldn't have downloaded the files. So I'm kind of like hoping this is a good sign that the files have been downloaded. So hopefully I'm hoping to get them before Thanksgiving, the books, at the latest by the 30th of this month, by the end of this month. So I want to spend December just getting these books out, and starting the new year fresh. And I can't believe that I'm talking about 2024 already.
Stupid. It's so stupid.
It really is that we're just about like a month and a half away from 2024 and starting this process all over again.
Yay.
Yeah, because I also put together the Kickstarter, or at least I'm in the process of putting together the Kickstarter campaigns for Eagle Raven issue 8 and for Tall Tales, Tears of the Mother issue 6, 1 through 6. And I just figure that as I finish it doesn't. No rest for the wicked. And I just figure that as I finish a book, that I'm just going to like put together the campaign just to get the commitment there. But I'm not going to like schedule anything until I'm actually ready to go. Because technically I was able to cross off my Oswald commission off the to-do list, which I was very happy about. So now I just have left on my list to finish Tears of the Mother issue 6. I have to letter that. I have to finish the audiobook for Legend of the Silk Rose, and I have to finish the sketchbook for House of Bob, the first House of Bob hardcover collection that we were always intending on doing, but the nuking of the show,
the whole channel.
The whole channel, yeah, kind of.
Oh my gosh,
put a little, monkey wrench in that. But I am going to get back on that and have that ready for next year as well. Also, speaking of audiobooks, or at least related to it, over the weekend I finished the novelization of issue 1 of Eagle Raven Heir the First Unicorn. I still got to do some tweaking to it, but I think that it's pretty much, kind of ready as a prose short at this moment. So so I'm really happy with the way it came out. And I'm going to do an audio book for that as well, an audio reading for it as well. So at least it's just another way for people to enjoy the book without, like, if they're not into comics, or maybe it's like, maybe they're not in, it's like, or they just like I know that I do have several people who are visually impaired, and they complimented me on the fact that their audio reader can actually read out loud my PDFs.
Nice.
So at least this way with an audiobook, I can kind of like enhance that experience more. So I'm really looking forward to
because something we've never really taken into consideration, like, is people with visual or disabilities when it comes to reading. I mean, we remember foreign languages to get a lot of stuff, translate it into Spanish and Portuguese and whatever, but we and French, and Italian too.
Right.
But we forget about the, other issues.
Right.
Like
Yeah. That we're more
disability.
likely to go out of our way to have our stuff translated for foreign languages than for disability.
Right.
Because because it's like, I remember the people who did contact me about the PDF. And then it's like, I especially got a sense of that when I redid the visual the video for issue 1, where I was reading the dialogue out loud and I put in sound effects and stuff like that. And then it's like, my mom was just like, oh my God, it's the first time I was able to really appreciate the book, because I was just able to listen to it and I was able to see the graphics really, really big because she has a 4K television. So, so she was able to enjoy the issue finally, and the funny thing is, it's like, I don't know why it struck me as strange, because I'm at a point where it's like, if I can get an audiobook of something, I will. It's like if I can, it's like, Jose
print has gotten so much smaller, I swear to God.
Well, that's the reason also why I've been reading more on my Kindle. Jose had gotten, I know, really. I think that's on purpose now. Jose had gotten me a Kindle and I have just been loving reading on it. I have been reading comics on my phone since I got the new Samsung. Was it the 21 or something? I don't know what it is. Whatever this is, whatever this is. And reading comics on it has been so much easier for me.
Galaxy S23.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. It is. It is. And it's certainly a lot nicer, or at least I'm able to concentrate on it better than if I was reading an actual paperback book. And it's like, so it's like, so in the end, it's like, if I can do something to just kind of enhance the experience, for my work, why not? Right. Especially if it's something that I could just do myself, but, so here's the thing. So this weekend, right? So this weekend, I guess finally, going to the title. Also, it's probably best that I don't make Nita talk too much.
No, I'm good.
Are you sure?
It's irritated. It's
right.
Not,
yeah. Right. Yeah. I mean, because it's like I've had impacted wisdom teeth removed as well. It's like my teeth were growing on top of each other. And I remember not being fun at all.
No,
not at all.
It has not been fun, but it's better. Yeah. It's better than it was already.
Right. That's true. So I was in a private forum, a private Facebook group, right? Ooh. And someone was doing a postmortem on their campaign. And the reason why it struck me was because it was a story that we've been kind of hearing over and over and over again. And this was just another person on the pile pretty much saying the same story. So what it was that they had done a horror comic that failed to fund at what I think is the low goal of $3,000. So you're talking about a horror comic in October, unable to fund. He said that he made it halfway and his campaign died on the vine.
Wow.
And he really was at a loss as to what was happening, and the thing, like I said, this is not the first time that we've been hearing this kind of same story, over and over again, where people they're seeing backslides in their campaigns. If they do regular campaigns, they're seeing backslides, less, it's like they're not raising as much money. Is saying that more people are funding now than they did 5 years ago. And I remember Max.
Yeah, because more and more people are having these goals of, I swear to God, I saw one the other day. I think it was $350.
Yeah. That what it is that, because I remember
you're not even going to print for that. So what are you doing? To me, those come off as little cash grabs.
Right. I mean,
there's no way that shit's even going to be, there's no way. You can't even afford the goddamn Gemini mailers.
Right. I mean, yeah, it's kind of like real, like, well, the thing is that we talked about, it's like, like setting your goal low so that it kind of triggers the algorithm, because like, oh, if you fund at 100% really quickly, then it's like
Right.
the algorithm, even though Kickstarter
Kickstarter
claims
swears that's not true, but
that,
fuck them, we've
no,
seen it.
everybody
seen
does
it.
it.
Everybody
I
does
mean,
it.
I was watching a YouTube video from this guy talking about kickstarting, but from like from the not in comics, but like in the other categories like tech and games and whatnot. And
Right.
he was saying the same thing.
Right.
That it's like you want to fund as quickly as possible.
Well, here's why. Because if you don't fund, guess what happens? Kickstarter doesn't get any money. So, of course, the algorithm is going to naturally favor someone who's funded because they're getting that fucking, 3%, 5%?
Right, yeah.
Like,
I mean, we've seen this pattern way too many times, and like I said, we're not the only ones that see it. So, so I can understand people putting a goal at like 305. Well, 300 I think is way too low. 300, 500,
1,000, anywhere from 750, whatever it's going to take you to get that book out if it actually funds.
Right.
Like, and for most people, if you do all the work, that's going to be about 750. For those that hire out, it's going to be low end.
It will vary.
15 to 2.
Well, you see, because here's the thing, right? So this guy talked about how the book itself that he launched, cost him $6,000 to make. Because he had to outsource everything. He wrote the book, but everything, everything. It's a double-edged sword. It's a double-edged sword. Because I learned very quickly when I started putting Ego Raven on Kickstarter, my initial goals were $500, and I literally had people be very, very skittish about pledging because they're like going, why are you funding for only $5? Why are you only asking for $500?
It's sus. Like, because you can't. Most people, especially if they're not the artist, the writer, the editor, and everything else, they've had to hire out. So how are you affording the artwork? How are you affording the writer? How are you affording your mailers? How are you affording it? So it is sus. That's what I'm saying. Anything under 750 is shooting yourself in the fucking foot. And especially for newcomers, shooting for a goal, anything over 2K is shooting yourself in the foot. You got to find that fucking balance.
Right. And you see that. So that's the thing. So like I said, he said that it cost him $6,000 to put the book together. And he went for $3,000 because it's like, well, again, it's like, oh,
no, for sure.
It's like, I can make it to 3. Right. Well, and he didn't, you see, but here's the thing though. So he's going on and on about, it's like, oh, I don't understand it. My last campaign made 3. Why didn't this? Right. So this is what started me thinking about this topic and everything. Right. Is that I went to his campaign. I went to his campaign. I looked up, his account where it shows all, like all the campaigns that he did. The campaign that he was talking about, right? So like I said, this was a horror comic that he was saying, oh, I was expecting to make 3 because my previous campaign did 3.
That's not how this works.
Problem is, the previous campaign he did was not a horror comic. It was some kind of like YA pseudo anime looking thing.
Oh, dude. Goddamn. When you come with a new IP, always think that you're starting from scratch.
Right. And it's like, it's a completely different book. And not only that particular book, if you looked at all the rest of his campaigns,
genre jumping with that.
That was the only book that actually like really broke 100 backers on his overall campaigns. On his previous campaigns, he was lucky he was getting 50 backers. But this one YA book that he did got 100 and something backers.
Right.
And now he's expecting, that his horror book was like, oh, well, that campaign did well, so I'm going to expect it for this campaign. And then he died on the vine. And he was like, well, I don't know what happened. And I go, it's kind of like
Pick
you
me,
open up
pick
the hood.
me.
Yeah, it's kind of like, it's like you open up the hood and you see the raccoon eating your engine. It's like, oh, I see your problem right here.
Right.
And that got me really, really thinking, right? Because there were like other variations of this theme that I was hearing a lot of in the past several weeks. Oh, I did really well at a convention. I thought I would do just as well, on Kickstarter. Oh, but I did really well. It's like I do really well on the rest of my campaigns. Why this one? It's like, it's like I said, variations on a theme. And the theme is that, people, do you have the audience you think you do?
And most do not.
And that's kind of like, and that thought really hit me like a ton of bricks, because it's like, look, it's like, look, marketing is just like
a beast.
It's very, very frustrating. Even when Tyler Carpenter recommended I read that book,
1 minute content plan.
Yeah, the 1 hour, this book, the 1 hour content plan,
yeah.
Which I still recommend for everybody. Like I said, this really helped clarify a lot of things for me. But the thing is, though, is that, like I said, the book is a challenge because it requires a certain level of introspection about what you do that I don't think a lot of people in our circle, in terms of the indie comic sphere, really want to admit they have to do.
Right.
Which
is more work.
Right. It's like, well, I don't think it's the work as much it is that it kind of requires you to destroy your delusion on what you're doing.
Right.
And, and the thing is that,
and it varies project to project, creator to creator.
Exactly. Because it's like we see it all the time. It's like, oh, titty books sell until they don't.
Until they don't.
And until they don't. It's like, this trend works until it doesn't. It's like this works until that takes its place. And it's like,
stop making the con and Kickstarter comparison. Because here's the fucking difference. There are cons or pressure sales, even if you don't consider yourself a carnival barker. It's harder to tell someone no to their face than it is on a screen.
Right.
It's so much easier to pass you up on Kickstarter than it is. People are going to buy your book if you're sitting there being nice to their fucking face.
Right.
It's like, oh shit.
Right. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it translates.
And there's less cost because of the shipping. It does not translate to your Kickstarter, and cons are completely fucking separate.
So what I did, you see, so what I did, because Jose was asking me, it's like, oh, people are coming up with this number. How did they get it? Right. Because it was like he was trying to figure out like how many campaigns are running at one time. So right now on Kickstarter, as we speak, there are 307 live projects,
which is a massive number.
Yeah. So there's 300 other people having the same idea as you, type of thing, right? So the thing is that how do we stand out from that? And the thing is, so what I did was that I decided to look at the top campaigns that are live now, according to most backed, as opposed to most funded. Because I've said it before, and I'll say it again, it's very easy to job the number. It's very easy to job,
but not the backer count.
To job how much money you raise. If I had wanted to really reach $10,000 on my last campaign, all I had to do was offer commissions and sketch
commissions.
Yeah, exactly. And I could have been over 10,000 easy. But that's not what I was trying to do on that campaign. So I looked at backers who has the highest. So the campaign with the highest backer count on this on this list of the 307 projects live now is Strange Universe by Nathan W. Pyle. I guess I'm sure you guys have seen the comic strips of the little aliens kind of like misinterpreting or like kind of like reinterpreting very normal human behavior. But this is very, if you guys saw it, you'd recognize it. He mostly did his work on Instagram. And then, I mean, what's really funny is that the number 2 most backed campaign on this. Actually, let me show you guys. Let me show you this guy. Let me show you this. Okay, so these are the most backed campaigns that are live right now. These are the top 3 campaigns. If I were to scroll down one more, it's like, look, yes, Polito is on this list.
Of course he is.
Of course he is. Of course he is. But I mean, but look at these 3 though. I mean, it's like they certainly do not look like anything that we keep getting told. That's like, oh, if you want sales, this is what you have to do, right? But here's the thing. What do they have in common? They have an audience that translates to Kickstarter. These are people who grew their, it's like, remember, it's like, even when I did the top 200 most funded books on Kickstarters, the common denominator, aside from Polito always being there, the common denominator is that they all built their audiences outside of Kickstarter, and they followed when they ran a Kickstarter. It's like, yeah, the thumbnails. Yeah. I mean, really, it's like, honestly, you would do well to treat Kickstarter like as if it was YouTube, where it's like your title and your thumbnail is everything,
right?
Because you have to get them in. If they don't click on your link, they're not looking at all.
No.
So, no, but the thing is, though, with these campaigns, I mean, I never even heard of the second one. Let's Play Volume 4, $224,000. Because they have, let's see, how many backers they have on this?
And to me, these thumbnails are meh. And the third one I hate.
Look at this. Look at this number.
Damn.
I've never heard of this book. Look at this number. This is almost 3,000 backers, 3,000 fans.
Will be by the time it's over.
Right, exactly. And it's like, you know what? It's like, I really, especially when I did my last campaign, I really learned that it's like, yeah, we're spending way too much time just looking at the financial number and not looking at the backer count. And when I was reading this guy who was saying that, I don't understand what happened. My previous campaign did this. I mean, the fact that not only did he ignore that he was doing a completely separate genre, his next book was a completely separate genre. It was also an outlier in his campaign road, so he was expecting this book to achieve what the outlier did. And it's like, no, that's not how that works. Mm-hmm. Especially it's, and it's like, so what I did, because of course it's like, let's do the maths. Let's do a little
maths time.
It's maths time. So I went to my campaigns, because in the end, it's like, I'm always trying to figure out, it's like, okay, how can I improve, what I'm doing?
Let me get rid of this cat.
Oh, okay. It's always the cat. Right? So especially on my last campaign, it's like that I got the most backers I had ever seen on any of my campaigns. It's like, granted, it's like I did a lot of things differently on this campaign, but I'm pretty sure the fact that I did full on porn didn't hurt. Let's just, just to say that, right? So, but, let's just look at the numbers, right? So with Eagle Raven, I have an average of 160 backers. I only counted, because here's the mistake that these people are making. They're taking the totality of all their campaigns and they're thinking that's their average. And it's like, no, you have to take the totality of the genre of what you're doing, because look, Eagle Raven, Tall Tales, the Oswald Chronicles. Superficially, they look like they should have the same audience, but they don't. They really don't. We have very little overlap between the three. All three of them being fantasy books, all three, right? Exactly. All three of them, kind of like very furry leaning, But the thing is, though, they have very different audiences because all three tones are very, very different. The Oswald Chronicles is like an urban epic fantasy. Tall Tales is your adventure fantasy. Eagle Raven is your drama, is your medieval drama fantasy or whatever. It's like three very different tones. And what that means is we have three very different audiences that we have to cater differently to because of that. So Eagle Raven has 160 average backers. Now, we've spoken about the dangers of depending on averages. So what I did was I actually tried to figure out the mean, I guess like the median or the mean. Oh, I keep confusing the two. The median a number of backers, and that ended up at 157. So I'm more likely to reach 157 backers on Eagle Raven than 160. So with Tall Tales, I have 89 average backers, but 81 median. Again, more likely to reach 81 than 89. Oswald. Now, Oswald was a strange one because just on volume, Jose has 115 average backers, right? But if you do the median, he's actually closer to getting 68 backers on a campaign than 115. So he only has a higher average because of the sheer amount of campaigns that he runs. I think for these numbers, it was 17 campaigns compared to 12 Tall Tales and 9 Eagle Raven. Now, for Eagle Raven, though, again, this last campaign seems to be the outlier. 233 backers when I'm usually getting, less than that. So I decided to run the numbers again without it, just to kind of like say, okay, so how many, it's like how many do I really get on Eagle Raven? And if I removed that last campaign, I ended up with 152 average backers with a median of 155. So 155 is kind of where I'm seeing that's like, okay, this is kind of where, my campaign usually does. Like, I think it would be absolutely ridiculous for me to think that my next campaign can reach 233 backers again, because the campaign was so different. So it's like I said, this just kind of like had me really, really thinking. What I did to kind of like, I randomly took somebody's campaign. Well, not really, but I ran their numbers. So this campaign, they had 59 average backers. But if you run their median, technically their expectation should be around 49 backers. And that's, and like I said, and I'm trying to keep and I was doing these numbers based on, again, like I said, what's your theme, what's your genre, the type of book, and again, I think like running these numbers really it kind of reinforced for me that all ages books really do. They're at a disadvantage on Kickstarter, and I think, and so what I've been seeing is that, people are like, their campaigns are kind of like not doing as well. There was another campaign. This is the one that really shocked me. There was another campaign did $18,000. Like, oh, that's a lot of money, right? You go look at all their previous campaigns. Oh, they actually were used to doing 50,000. Now they have it. Now their latest campaign is doing half the amount. And not only that, but they've lost about 300 backers.
Well, that's gravity too.
But and I'm like going, that's kind of like, where did those 300 people go? I mean, that's the thing. And it's like, how is it that, it's like, do you really have a fan base if you can lose 300 people? I mean, so like I said, this really, really had me thinking, because it's like, is there a shift happening where everything that we thought was true is all of a sudden not true? It's like, like doing a TNA cover doesn't seem to guarantee you anything. Doing variant covers doesn't seem to guarantee you anything. It's like, I mean, and here's the funny thing too. It's like, okay, say you've built up your audience on variant covers. Are they really your audience? It's like, because that's also the thing too. It's like, is this really your audience? John had said that it's like, this is Kickstarter's audience, not your audience. And that's something that you have to think about too. You can build an audience on Kickstarter, but can you keep them?
Yeah.
Again, it's like, it's kind of like the Amazon effect, where people just buy off of Amazon because it's convenient, not because, it's like, oh, they want to support small businesses or something, It's like, it's like, yeah, it's kind of like, okay, it's like, honestly, the fact that I have these 155 people, right? Pretty much 155 people on Kickstarter that I know that I can get. Like, honestly, like, I know every time I put on an Eagle Raven campaign, I know I can get at least 100 people within the first 24 to 48 hours, right? But if I were to put out Eagle Raven on my website, I'd get crickets, So it's like, so it's like, is it the convenience of Kickstarter that's really that's the foundation of my fan base, and it's kind of like almost like depressing. It's like that. If I wanted to continue making money on my books, I have to do it on Kickstarter. Like it's like, it's like, so it's like, yeah, it's like, do we have the audience that we think we do? It's like, yeah, you can go to a convention and you can sell a whole bunch of books, but they don't transfer over to Kickstarter as much you want to believe that they do. Do they really? You can have your comics in comic book stores, but does that really transfer? Because honestly, the other trend that I'm kind of seeing, that I'm kind of wondering where all these people are going to instead, is that a lot of the top books that are on Kickstarter are now from these professionals coming in. They're transferring from the big companies. They're producing books on Kickstarter. And now it's like, yeah, they're raising, 6 figures on Kickstarter. I mean, it's like, what is it? It was Ken Kelly and Matt Wagner. What was that one? Oh, yeah. Oh, Kelly Jones. Matt Wagner and Kelly Jones, Dracula Volume 1, The Impaler. $166,000. I mean, it's like, yeah, what do they, yeah, it's like 2,200 backers. And it's like, and it's like, yeah, and that kind of like, I'm kind of wondering, like, Jeff Smith, it's like, he's the third book on here. Thor, Jeff Smith, he raised again 6 figures, 200,000. Let's see, 2,500 backers, right? And it's like, remember all those people who kept saying that Keanu Reeves was going to save indie comics?
We haven't been saved yet.
and it's like, and what and it's like, and kind of like looking at all this stuff, it's like, no, they're not saving indie comics, they're cannibalizing it. That it's like, if given a choice between supporting your nobody book and supporting Jeff Smith, who do you think people are going to support? It's like, between you and Matt Wagner, do you even stand a chance? Between you and whatever, like Vault wants to, or any of these, it's like, or if IDW puts out a book or what, it's like, is that where everybody's going? It's like, in the more these professionals, I always hear Jose in my head, going, he's like, you don't know what it's like, are you sure? Yeah, the professionals, that the more professionals comes into our...
Patrick got banned just now.
Yeah. Don't ban Patrick. Don't ban Patrick. That what? Well, he was. I agree. You see that? I agree. That's why I'm very happy that he's coming back to play Constantine, because honestly, that's my Constantine. I don't know this other. It's like, look, I'm not a loyalist, but I did like that movie. I really, really did like that movie. It's like, look, it's like Keanu Reeves as Constantine. The second Tilda Swinton came in as a Gabriel, I'm like, done. I'm done. I'm done. This is my movie. So yes, unban him just for that.
Fine.
You are unbanned.
Fine.
You're unbanned by saying that Keanu Reeves is the
Patrick.
best Constantine. So, yeah. So it's like, is that the trend that's happening, that the more of these the more mainstream comics acts up the way they do, and the more look, the only reason Neil Gaiman and Colleen Doran did Good Omens on Kickstarter, because no publisher wanted to do the book, and they raised $3 million on Kickstarter. So the more the publishers are acting up and pushing that level of creator onto Kickstarter, it's like, remember these people that back known creators from the industry have a mean age range of 39 to 42. The group are not only fans or followers of the pros, but have different income levels. That's true too. The income disposability is a luxury to tap into. It's like, look, funny that you mentioned that, Jake. Funny that you mentioned, because there is something that I want that I want to play. I want to play for everybody. It's about 5 minutes, but I really do think it's the most important 5 minutes that you're going to hear, especially when it comes to this, right? So I decided to look up the idea of the 1,000 true fans, right? This is the one, and it seems that there's a dude who coined that phrase. And hold on, let me just let me see, share screen, 1,000 true fans. And he happened to go on Tim Ferriss's show, a podcast. For those of you who don't know who Tim Ferriss is, he is the guy who wrote the 4-Day Workweek. He's kind of like an Uber efficiency expert, right? It's like how to pretty much do everything with efficiency, kind of, So this is the guy who, so this is like a 5 minute, almost a 6 minute clip of this guy explaining the 1,000 true fan theory that he came up with.
And if YouTube makes us pull the video, we'll put the link to the clip.
I was just about to say too, just in case, yes, because that is, I was a little concerned about that, but honestly, I really want everybody to see this. So let me just play it and hope no ads pop up. So here it is.
The iconic 1,000.
Hold on, can you hear it? Did the audio come up? Okay.
True fans. The most popular thing you've ever written.
Right.
Why do you think that is the case? And what would you double down on or revise if you were to take another stab at it today?
The honest answer, one of the reasons why it's right, we can talk about maybe why it's good and useful and then why it's popular. The reason why it's popular is actually through you. for the fact that you included it in one of your books, and that sort of lifted it out of my little realm. The reason why maybe it kind of resonates with people is because there is sort of an assumption that the goal is to hit it big, the big time, bestseller, a hit. And most people kind of come to associate those numbers, that kind of large scale, with success. And the idea that success could look differently, that you could have a more modest size scale and that be successful, sometimes is dismissed as lifestyle businesses or whatever. And I kind of realized that the technology would allow a different version of that it was possible, and that it would be good. It would be good for people. And so that was, I think people can resonate with that because it's a viable alternative option to things that was not spoken before, was not even really on the radar. And when I first wrote it, before you even saw it, there was no Kickstarter, there was no Patreon, and I was challenged with people like Jerome Lanier to say, well, that's a nice theory, but there isn't any evidence that this is actually working. And it was actually at that time I did a follow through and I tried to find evidence, and there was evidence of established artists from publishing or music or studios who had already an audience and could move off of that to their own, but there wasn't any evidence of an indigenous organic growth from nothing. Now there is. Every day people write to me and meet me, say, yes, I have been able to do that, inspired someone by hearing of that possibility.
Is there anything that you would modify in that piece or emphasize more?
So I did a modification for you, which was, I talked about the fact that one benefit and one disadvantage. The one benefit is that part of what we're doing is, if all you need is 1,000 true fans, then even if your interests are 1 in a million, given the population of the Earth of billions of people, that means there's 1,000 people potentially on the planet who will share your interests. So if your interests are only 1 in a million people, then you still have enough. And then the second thing was that just to emphasize to people that this is not for everybody, that tending the fans and interacting with them is almost like a half-time job, at least, maybe even more. And not everybody's suited to do that. An artist might just want to paint. They don't want to deal with fans. And we see more of dealing with fans. What it means is it's not always pretty and it can burn you out. And so I just want to emphasize that this is an option, and you don't have to go all the way. You can have your 1,000 true fans, and then you can have lots of other casual fans and other fans, which would allow you to have other people help you. So it's not just you. And then secondly, for some people, you want to have intermediaries. It's just not something that you want to spend your time doing. And that's perfectly fine. But it's a really great place to be able to start from. So maybe you don't want to land there, but that's one of my pieces of advice, is that where you start is not where you're going to land. So this is a good place to start.
That's exactly what I was going to say, which is, even if you want to hypothetically build a huge company and change the world, although I'm very skeptical of people who lead with that, I think most businesses fundamentally are lifestyle businesses if you really double click and look at it closely enough, even if someone aims to be a Fortune 500 CEO. In any case, the point I want to make is, even if you have these very lofty, large scale goals, beginning with the exercise of reading 1,000 True Fans and at least considering what your approach would be to accomplish that first is a great fundamental step.
Right. And partly that is because you get 1,000 true fans by accumulating them one by one. And if you're focused on, like, today I'm gonna get one more additional customer, that is tremendously powerful. Customer by customer, are they happy? Am I giving value to them? If you can focus on that, that is incredibly a superpower.
Yeah, for sure. And if you can take those 1,000 true fans and some subset of them become your PR/marketing forces, then things can multiply very quickly.
Yeah. So thank you, Jake, for the. I didn't know that was an option.
It could trip them up too.
Right. Yeah.
On the replay.
So so that was like I mean, when I came across that, I was like, holy crap! It's like, that's kind of like, exactly what I was like trying to figure out. And the thing is, it's like, and that's the thing. It's like, one, thinking of what we do as we're lifestyles, where comics is a lifestyle brand. You know, it's like where, you know, Jake had mentioned, it's like, yeah, it's like we're kind of like offering, believe it or not, a luxury service. You know, I mean, nobody needs to have your books. Nobody needs to buy comics. Nobody's life is ending if they don't buy comics. Right. So that's just something that we have to remember. Nobody has to buy your book. So are you offering something that people really want to buy? And then not only that, are they willing to advocate for you? Because just like he said, he had this 1,000 fan theory, right? But it wasn't until Tim Ferriss had mentioned it that it actually gained traction. You know, so it's like he had the fan that you know, that advocated for him, and he ended up being pushed to a forefront that he wasn't getting on his own. You know, and that's something that we have to, you know, kind of think about ourselves. Like, I know that a lot of us also like to think about, oh, I am an island unto myself, and I go, no, you're not. You know, it's like you cannot do this by yourself. Like, who can you collaborate with? You know, and yeah, and like, and help build one by one these fans who it's like, who will not only be with you the entire time, but will also do that intermediary work for you. You know, because yeah, who doesn't have the time? I mean, who has the time for this, right? You know, and also I think that what was important that he had said too is that this is not for everybody. And I think that this is that's also a reality that people have to kind of, you know, kind of like navel gaze on if they have to. Yeah, that's something that the book talks about. The 1 hour content plans. The first thing, who's your audience? If you don't know who your audience is, then how are you going to market? You know, I mean, for me, it just turned out that my optimal audience is someone like me, you know, who likes this type of stuff. And because it's like, I remember talking to another author going, it's like, yeah, it's like, I refuse to believe that I'm the only one who enjoys this shit. You know, so, and even the guy saying there's about 1,000 of you. The trick is finding that 1,000. But also, as I was saying before, it's like the trick is also being realistic as to what exactly you're doing. You know, it's like you can, if you're putting out a horror novel, a horror book, but you're comparing the results to that to a YA comic. I mean, it's like, no, it's like, you see, here's the thing, and here's the thing. It's like I said, it's like marketing is very all over the place. No matter how many times we try to make it sound like there's rules, there's rules to an extent, and then the trends change. But it's like, yeah, because it's like, oh, if you do variant covers, you'll do this until it'll work until it doesn't. You know, like I said, if you do the TNA books, it'll work until it doesn't, right? It's like, you know, and here's also the thing. If you sell yourself, if you convince people to like you, that'll work until it doesn't. You know, but it's like, but in the end, if you don't have a story that, you know, that people want to actually read and support, not having that story will work until it doesn't. You know, I mean, it's like, because what this guy found out, you know, with his campaign that failed, was that people were a fan of that YA book, not of him specifically. Like, it's not like they were going to support him with all the books that he put out. It's like, no, we're going to support the books that we want. You know, like I said, superficially between me and Jose, we have books that look the same, but they're not. People who buy Eagle Raven are not the people who buy Tall Tales, who are not the people who buy the Oswald Chronicles. Is that a knock on us? You know what? I think it'd be silly to think that it was. It just means that we do 3 different types of fantasies that 3 different types of audiences want to read. You know? So it's like, yeah, just because I put out a Tall Tales book doesn't mean the people who enjoy Eagle Raven, like, well, Daphne did it, so I'm going to pick up that book too. Very few people do that. In the end, people buy the book that they want, not necessarily whether you're the one putting it out or not. I mean, I remember when Wendy Pini and Richard and Wendy Pini started doing like they're like getting other artists to draw ElfQuest. And there was this entire gap where I stopped buying their books. Because even if Wendy and Richard were writing the story, I was not interested in other people's interpretations of that story. You know, I just, but here's the thing too. Wendy did her whole Mask of the Red Death, right? She did a whole comic based on that. Did I buy it? Absolutely not, because I'm not interested in that. It doesn't matter that Wendy did it. I'm not interested in that book, so I never bought it. So just because I'm a fan of ElfQuest doesn't mean I'm a fan of Wendy. Let's just say that. So it's like, yeah, I mean, but I just, like I said, it's like there's.
Do not strike my idols, Daphne.
Well, I know, but the thing is, though, it's like that's kind of the thing we have to.
I kid. And the video of that thing will actually.
Well, that's a whole other. That's a whole other thing. So it's like, yeah. And I think what it is that we have to, when we do these postmortems on our campaigns, right? And we try to figure out what went right, what went wrong, what we could do different, right? We have to make sure that we're looking at real data. We're looking at what's really going on, not holding on to the fantasy of the delusion of what we think should be happening and then trying to shoehorn all that information to fit that. It's what Nita was saying. It's like, oh, it's everybody else's fault but mine type of thing. That whole, oh, my comic failed because everybody else, because of something else that I had no control over. It's like, well, that's true. You have no control over how people react to their book or buy your book or don't buy your book. Yes, you have no control over that. The only thing, and I've said this before, the only thing you have control over is this book the best book you could put out? And just because it is doesn't mean people care. And it's like, ouch. Yeah. So I'm still ruminating on a lot of this information because, in the end, a lot of it is like, okay, what do I do with this? What do I do with this info? And honestly, right now, I don't know. I really don't know.
This maths could be algebra. We might not never use it.
I mean, it's like, yeah, it's like, because then it's like it brings in all these other things that it's like, well, yeah. Because it's like, then it's like it brings up, it's like, well, what if me promoting this comic needs me to do things that have nothing to do with the comic? What if it needs me to build up my YouTube channel? What if it needs me to build up, a social media following that has nothing to do with the comic? I mean, like I said, there's all these other wheels that are turning, and it's just trying to figure out whether that's what I really want to do. Because in the end, it's like what I really want to do is I want to get to issue 15. And I'm getting to issue 15 no matter how it does on Kickstarter. I'm getting to issue 15. I'm writing these novels. It's like all that is still happening. It's just the everything else that I'm trying to like, how do I get the everything else to help me push me towards that goal? Or support the goal, because the goal is there no matter what, but how do I get everything else to support me as I work towards this goal? Or can I? It's like, is there going to come a point that maybe it's like, oh yeah, maybe I do have to get a job? It's like that's a reality too. Who knows? It's like, we don't know. But that's why, in the end, that's why we do the show, right? To kind of like think out loud, about all this, and maybe everybody can add in their own 2 cents and whatnot, and we can try to collectively try to find,
and leave the rest, because it's just random thoughts and bullshit.
And I just want to remind everybody that that's exactly what this is. I mean, it's like, look, we're only talking from our experience, from what we've experienced, from how I'm looking at stuff. It's like, look, it's like, if you want to be mad that my that what I'm coming with is not justifying what you're doing. That has nothing to do with me. You know,
no, it doesn't. But you can go ahead and create your own content based on it.
You know, right? It's like look, this is how I'm seeing things. This is how I'm interpreting it. If it resonates with you, that's great. If it doesn't,
that's great.
That's great too. I mean, it's like, okay, go do what you need to do, because we all have different paths.
And tell us what you need to do, because we could talk about what you did as well. I mean, damn.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, like I said, this is us talking, thinking out loud and trying to figure out, what to do next. And all I know is that the next thing I have to do is I have to finish these 3 sketch covers to finally, so I could finally send out the last of the Eagle Raven issue 7 books. So I guess we could just end it right here. So Nita, do you have any final thoughts for the peoples? Not a one. Not at all. Okay. So thank you everybody for joining us for this always rambly edition of the Ragin' to the Vlogs show. Thank you so much for everybody in the chat for your 2 cents, especially in this economy. And thank you so much to my beautiful eyeball people watching us from regions beyond. Thank you so much for joining us for this hour as well. And thank you so much for all the little thumbs up and the little hearts that you're leaving. I see them. Thank you so much for that. As well. Yes. So so if you want to learn more about me and my artwork,
do your cards.
My cards.
Yeah, pull them up.
The cards are stuck on your end. Okay, that's fine. So if you want to learn more about me and my artwork and all my campaigns, you can head on over to my portfolio site at wow, it really doesn't work on your end, does it? Okay, well, I'll do it. You can head on over to my main portfolio site at egoworks.com, EGOWORKS, where you can find links to all of my galleries and social media sites. But I mostly post to Facebook if you're interested in seeing sketches and current work in progress updates. And you can always find me on YouTube. I have 500 and something videos on that channel that you can peruse at your leisure, to see how I do my work. And you can also join me on Wednesdays for my semi-weekly art live stream. Like I said, on Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, 2 hours of me just drawing and yammering about whatever it is that comes to mind. And remember that you can also read Eagle Raven, Heir of the First Unicorn, for free, uploading every day, Monday through Friday. Catch up before the campaign for issue 8 launches next year. But if you prefer your fantasy to be more of a furry Lord of the Rings adventure, you can follow the link over to Tall Tales. That's TAILS online.com. And not only can you read the first 20 issues of Tall Tales for free, but you can catch up on the latest story arc, Tears of the Mother, which is also currently uploading Monday through Friday. So thank you so much again for joining us today. And we will be back, like I said, for me on Wednesday. You can join me. I'm definitely going to do a show on Wednesday, and we will be back Friday with another round of nonsense. And in the words of the ancients, eat your food, moisturize, mind your business, and do the work. Because when you actually do the work, you never have to fake any of your accomplishments. Thank you so much again. And we will talk to you next time.
Bye.